Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Revenge. We're reading chapters 3 and 4. Almost forgot. Chapters 3 and 4 today. Yes, we are going to plow through it. Because I feel like after this week, we're going to start getting to some really juicy stuff. But I do believe that the second half of today is going to be good, too. Although we did have some sensational stuff in the first part, too. Kind of shocking. I should really be working on my video about the whole birth certificate and all that stuff too, because it's getting juicy, people. Oh my goodness. It's getting juicy. I'm so sorry for all of you who don't. You know what? If you don't like her, you're probably not even watching this. So, because somebody asked in an interview, they asked Tom, do you like Meghan? And he's like, no, not particularly so, but that's sort of what I do. I sort of write sensational books, so I don't really write them about people that I like. Me and my terrible British accent. So yeah, instead I spent all day today collecting all kinds of data and stats and numbers on the Brown family's houses in Vegas. It's been almost all day on that. I'm still not done. I have my laptop here because I thought I'd start early, or I'd be here early, and I'd finish it up. I just want to get it all together in one spot. I'm a little too left brain for my own good. Yes, I am. Okay, let me say hi to people. Gosh, there's over 50 comments already. Okay, let me say hi to who's here in the house, and then we will start with college. I just realized I didn't check to see if my mic was working. I'm glad it is. Okay, Joni's here. Hello, Joni. Our lovely moderator, Lynn Skinner is here. Okay, yes, the Gruesome Twosome lost their Netflix contract. Yes, they will no longer be doing stuff on Netflix. Now, Meghan has already filmed season 2 of, I don't know, she keeps changing the names of everything. Everything has a different name, and then some names change. Which show was it that she was doing on Netflix that where she just like is in her fake kitchen, because it's not her kitchen, it's a rented house, pretending like she's Martha Stewart. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, season 2 of that's already been, and I don't want to say it's not greenlit. It's been shot and recorded, and I think it's all edited and ready to go. So they're definitely going to put it out, even if it doesn't have great numbers. I mean, because they put the money into it, they took the time to do it. Somebody's going to watch it, so there's that. But it's interesting to me that Netflix has come out and admitted that the numbers were so poor that they weren't going to go forward with the contract that they have with Meghan and Harry anymore. Because I believe their contract was this like multi-million-dollar contract, and then they were going to be doing all these multiple things as part of it, and nobody's watching any of it. They watched the first thing because that was just sort of what was interesting still then too. They had just left. I will say that even before they came to America, I was starting to not like Meghan. I loved her at the beginning. I thought she was great for the crown and everything. But then, I don't know, I think she showed her true colors. And if this is all true about the pregnancy, oh my gosh, there's a video. I remember her sitting there complaining about not getting psychological help for her postpartum depression. It's one of the reasons she needed to leave, because they weren't supporting her. She was never pregnant. That'll just be crazy. Okay. All right. Let me say hello. Who else is here? Shanna Banana is here. Hello. Janice. Good to see you. Maureen. Hello. Mama Squirrel. Okay. Maureen, our resident European. Maureen, are you actually from England? Let me know. Marissa's here. Hello, Marissa. I think it's Maureen, not Marissa, right? Oh gosh, now I'm confused. It's an M word. I know it's not Mama Celeste. Hi, Mama Celeste. Wendy's front yard is here. All right, Jane is here. And Carol, good to see you. And Jax, good to see you as ever. Yeah, as ever is the jam and wine. Everything has a different name. It's so confusing. It's like the worst branding ever. She had a show. It was called one thing, then it was called something else. Oh, no. As Ever was called something else. I think As Ever was originally the orchard by the sea that's Americana. There was multiple things in it. It was so wordy. So that's what got changed to As Ever. All right. With love, Megan. Yes, I think that is it. You're right. With love, Megan. Thank you, Maureen. All right. Anyone else here that I missed? Probably. I hope I didn't, because I have to scroll pretty quick. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. Tanya's here. Hi, Tanya. Okay. And Nadine. Hi, Nadine. Okay. Midnight here. Great. It's midnight you're in England now. Why did I think you came to the States, Maureen? Maybe there's somebody else. But I know, Maureen, you were here helping us out like crazy last week. So I appreciate you being here. All right. Here we go. We're going to talk about college now. If I am too quiet, let me know. Hopefully everything is okay. I think I'm close enough. I just want to keep it out of the way of the book. College. All right. Now remind you, this is the girl who said that she was a latchkey kid and, had to get $3 salads to get by and lived on TV dinners. And, she presents as if I had nothing. That's not true. Okay. Oh, thank you, Carol. American Riviera Orchard. Yes. Oh, and it was registered to somebody else. Somebody else had the name. That's why she changed it. I just thought she changed it because it was a mouthful. And I'm like, what? You're like trying to take a little bit of everything that's a part of your life and put it all together in a branding thing. Oh, goodness. All right. Oh, that's true, Wendy. Back then, a $3 salad would be expensive. Yeah, that's a whole hour's work. That's true. Well, maybe not when she was. I'm thinking when I was in high school and college. Minimum wage was $3.35. Oh, okay. Okay. College. Princeton was Megan's first choice. Oh, here's how she's going to be a victim. She didn't get into her first choice. It's a rich kid's school, Thomas thought, but he agreed to ask a friend to help Megan entry. The language is so interesting to me. Despite her good grades, she was rejected. She was unhappy, Thomas noticed. She didn't like being turned down. Northwestern University in Chicago, ranked among the best for drama, was her next successful choice. Securing a place to study, they didn't add with Daddy's help. She probably wouldn't have gotten in there on her own either. Securing a place to study theater and international relations at Northwestern was the entry card to the elite. She had chosen a private, highly selective college, renowned as a favorite of rich, well-connected white students. She knew no one there. I mean, isn't that how it is when everyone, I guess not. Maybe not everyone. When I went to college, I knew nobody going there. All three of my kids, when they went to all of their different colleges, they didn't know one person at them. I don't think it's that unusual. Anyway, on admission, She joined the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, famous for its Midwestern blondes. She pledged to be philanthropic, care about her sisters, and abide by the motto, aspire to be. Thomas automatically volunteered to pay the annual $45,000 fees. How nice. Life was good for Meghan. She loved cooking, watching films, and studying drama. She made a host of new friends, including Lindsay Jill Roth, the daughter of a Long Island lawyer, who became a lifelong confidant, and Larnell Quinton Foster, an African American man also studying drama. Spending a lot of time together at events, classes, and productions with Foster, she frequently visited his East Coast home. Thrilled that her son had met the ideal woman, Foster's mother, a pastor, was unaware. I could fill in that blank. Oh, goodness. That she was a hypocrite, was unaware that she's a liar, was unaware that her son was gay. Oh, that's even more. That's a better sentence than the ones I came up with. Meghan's first college boyfriend, Steve, we'll just say, a baseball player, moved to North Carolina College soon after they met, thereby ending the relationship. Later boyfriends were rated by a self-help dating Bible called The Rules. Dating Bible. I guess it's not really a Bible. Okay. A self-help dating book called The Rules, subtitled Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right, written for women seeking marriage in the shortest time available. Desperates. How could she be desperate? She was only in college. Meghan acquired a copy soon after its publication in 1995 and brought the book to the campus. By then, she could recite passages by heart. Quote, in any relationship, recalled Pretty, there was always an element of marriage in the back of her mind. Each man was judged on how their domestic life as part of a team would look like in 10 years. Thomas Markle noticed the same calculation. During his visits to Chicago, he heard Meghan predict, that's my next boyfriend. Once identified, she successfully seduced the man. She fixed it, observed Thomas with awe. She had this ability to control men. This is what Daddy's saying about her. She functioned so much better with a man around, he realized. She also saved money by moving into the boyfriend's home. But Thomas was puzzled as to why she suddenly called herself Rachel. She refused to explain the switch. But by coincidence, the sitcom Friends was the current rage, starring Jennifer Aniston as Rachel. She does like to adopt personas of other people, doesn't she? Oh, goodness. I will say, I don't really mind the idea that when she dated somebody, she dated with the intent of, would this make a good husband? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's something wrong with just pinpointing somebody and then going after and seducing them and not letting love take hold, if you will. But I do believe you could be wasting your time on some dud while the good one got away. If you're with somebody you know you're not going to want to spend the rest of your life with, like, just break up, be alone. You don't have to be with somebody. Although that's the other thing they said. She always had to be with somebody. So I'm against that as well. All right. So she suddenly started calling herself Rachel right at the height of the Friends stuff. As she had been in school, the hardworking young woman was empathetic, always willing to help the less fortunate. She's shown in her charity work, including the Glass Slipper Project that provided dresses for local teenage girls for their prom. and a 30-hour dance marathon to raise money for cancer sufferers. She is very philanthropic. It seems like she was very generous. Okay. She also excelled in drama classes, not because of obviously exceptional talent, but through hard work and professionalism. Okay. All right. Again, I can't blame that either. I am all for somebody who doesn't have the skills at something but is willing to put in the work and do extra to succeed in life. Like I will take the person who's slightly not as good but worked really hard and really wants something versus the one who just has the natural talent and slides by. Okay. Pertinently, she resisted the invitation from Professor Linda Gates, the head of the voice program, to study acting in a theater. You can learn to be a great actress, Gates recalled telling Meghan. But I'm not sure she wanted to. Theater is where you learn to transform yourself and reach an audience. 6 or 8 weeks a night. 6 or 8 weeks a night. 6 or 7 nights a week. A star actress like Meryl Streep, trained in the theater, can completely transform herself and go deep into a character. But Meghan was playing herself, a pretty girl who is personable and intelligent. Her strength was empathy. Throughout her life, Meghan never mentioned a theater performance she had seen or enjoyed. Like many aspiring cinema stars, she thought theater was dead. Oh, no. Perish the thought. Did she really? Ugh, love theater. But pertinently, he likes that word, doesn't he? Friends could also not recall her gushing about an outstanding screen show. Okay. To pursue her film career, Meghan asked Thomas to secure a talking part for her in the TV soap General Hospital. Her 5-line appearance was transmitted in November of 2002. After 2 more auditions, she was not offered further work. But the principal purpose had been achieved. Her brief appearance secured the all-important Screen Actors Guild Union card. Therefore, she could work as an actress. Thomas Markle paid the $6,000 fee. What would she do without Daddy? I don't know. Her resume, he believed, did not mention that she was mixed race. Meghan would later claim that she encountered, quote, closed-mindedness about her parentage and her parents' divorce at college. A dorm mate I met in my first week, she recalled, asked if my parents were still together. You said your mom is black and your dad is white, right? She smiled. I smiled meekly, waiting for what could possibly come off as her pursed lips next. And they divorced? I nodded. Oh, well, that makes sense. I understood the implication, and I drew back. I was scared to open this Pandora's box of discrimination, so I sat stilfed, swallowing my voice. However, Professor Harvey Young, who focused on African American theater at the college, did not believe that there was racism among the 15,000 students on the campus. He limited himself to a neutral observation, saying Meghan was thoughtful and understood what it meant to face prejudice and discrimination. Well, that's not a bad thing to say, is it? Why is she upset with him? I mean, it seems like he did acknowledge that there was race. If he said she's thoughtful and understood what it means to face prejudice and discrimination, that would mean that she was presented with it and she handled it properly, right? Am I missing something? All right. Anyway, moving on. During her second year, still uncertain whether she would make it as an actress, Meghan asked her uncle Michael Markle, by then a communications expert for the U.S. government, to arrange a 5-week internship as a junior press officer at the American Embassy in Buenos Aires. I hated the idea of being this cliche girl from Los Angeles who declares to be an actress, she explained later. I wanted more than that, and I had always loved politics. So I applied for the internship. Thomas paid for the study program. Her half-sister, Samantha, would later claim that Meghan was not actually employed at the embassy, but was actually at a school attached to the embassy that arranged work experience. I mean, so I applied for the internship. Didn't it just say that she had an uncle who got her in? Am I losing my mind? Meghan asked her uncle Michael Markle, then a communications expert for the U.S. government, to arrange a 5-week internship. But her quote when she talks to people is, so I applied for an internship. Well, maybe legally they did make her have to fill out an application, so it doesn't look like. Anyway, moving on. Toward the end of her stay, Meghan took the Foreign Service Officers test, the preliminary to judge whether a candidate is sufficiently proficient to take the more demanding exam to enter the State Department. After never showing any interest in maths, a basic requirement to become a diplomat, she failed the 3-hour exam. The following year, she returned to Buenos Aires to meet a boyfriend. Oh, so she left a man behind, huh? Thomas Markle paid for that trip too. When Meghan called from Argentina saying, I need $500 to get out of the hotel, he sent her the money. On her return from Argentina, she decided that she would follow the cliché acting. Later, she would mention an introduction to an agent called Drew, who was apparently impressed by her performance in a student film. Oh, you are going to make money, Drew promised. And I'll take 10. I think you should stick around. No one has since been able to identify Drew. Okay. Graduation from Northwestern in 2003 was joyful, though tinged with anxiety as Meghan prepared to return home. Los Angeles was a mecca of thousands of young aspiring actors. The overwhelming majority would be disappointed and end up penniless. At least she had the old stacks in her favor. My dad taught me to fight my light so she could write. Oh, find. I need to get better glasses. I even thought about that when I grabbed these. I'm like, I need a stronger lens, like another quarter up. I need a 2 instead of a 1.75. Okay. My dad taught me to find my light. And she would write, Doria's contribution to her daughter's career was advice about skincare. Drink 2 liters of water daily, she suggested. Use a Clarisonic brush, apply sunblock, and get facials. She sounds like a gem, doesn't Mom? Financed by Thomas Markle, Meghan rented a home, bought a used car, and asked her father to pay for the petrol, or we would call gas in America. He also converted her bathroom into a dark room because she wanted to learn about photography. For additional income, she worked in turn as a gift wrapper, a calligrapher for wedding invitations. Oh, we've seen that recently. And a hostess at Mirabelle, a restaurant in West Hollywood. Mirabelle's waiters were usually unemployed actors seeking parts. Clutching a portfolio of photos, including the typical aspiring actress shot with a revealing neckline and an open midriff, Meghan began the tough routine of seeking auditions. Unlike her competitors, she could cite her appearance on General Hospital. She read lines with gusto to po-faced? I don't know that term. Po-faced casting directors, whose routine "thank you" at the end gave no hint of the outcome. She had learned to control her feelings after rejections. To outsiders, her progress might have appeared meager, but within the industry, even a few inches of celluloid was notched as a success. What? But within the industry, even a few inches of celluloid was notched as a success. Oh, this guy's... got analogies I don't know. Okay. Her brief appearance as a hot girl in a film called A Lot Like Love, starring Ashton Kutcher, and one line in Century City were fleeting, but she was doing better than most of her rivals. Her search for a long-term relationship was equally frustrating. There were 6 months with Sean, an actor and screenwriter raised in the Hamptons, who she had met at Northwestern. That ended after she refused to commit. And it was followed by 5 months with Brett Ryland. That ended because he apparently lacked the right personality. Then followed other actors, a Latin tycoon, and an inconsequential night out with Simon Rex, a male porn star. Every evening she set off saying to herself, "You never know, tonight I might meet the man who will change my life." In 2004, she met Trevor Anglesen at a West Hollywood bar. Tall, with reddish hair, the ambitious 27-year-old graduate of cinematography at the University of Southern California was starting out as a film producer, targeting the comedy channels with his client scripts. In his free time, he listened to hip-hop, read vicariously, traveled endlessly, and he told a podcast. Played around the clock, okay. Oh, the way the guy writes is just, it doesn't flow for me. Okay, I'm going to start that whole sentence over because now that I know where he's going, I know where to put the emphasis. In his free time, he listened to hip hop, read vicariously, traveled endlessly, and he told a podcast that was playing around the clock, quote, "I'm Jewish and I believe you only have one shot at this life. I'm a gigantic believer that all this shit could come suddenly to an end any minute now. You should have some fun." End quote. That was the longest sentence in the world. Starting in the post room of an actor's agency before promotion to a production house, he had been fired for secretly undertaking a freelance production. Trevor. Soon after, Anglesen sold his own film script, quote, "The Road to Freaknik." That's Freaknik, Freaknik. And started a production company, Underground Films 5190. Anglesen looked at his competitors and thought, "Fuck them. It'll be me." He did not want to be the average Joe, but, quote, "get the lottery ticket and be special." Insensitive and self-confident, Anglesen's well-honed chat-up lines in the noisy bar impressed Meghan. Self-confident and insensitive is what she was attracted to. Boasting that he worked and played hard, even reading screenplays every morning through his steam shower's glass door, he offered his life's philosophy. Hope is the greatest currency we have in this business. Then came another favored maxim. Don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years. 10 years later, Meghan frequently intoned both those lines in speeches to young audiences as her philosophy of life. That was so funny. Oh, she likes to pilfer lines from different places, doesn't she? Okay. She likes to imitate. That's what we should just say. 'Cause sometimes it's clothing, sometimes it's, yeah. She just likes to imitate. Well, she's an actress. Of course she does. Anglesen was clever and capable of behaving well-mannered, and his family's stable background attracted Meghan. He had been brought up in the Jewish community of Great Neck, a prosperous New York commuter town. His father was an orthodontist and his mother a speech therapist. Whoop, whoop. Educated at Great Neck's North High School, Trevor was known as Flowerhead. His friends called themselves the Mud Juice Posse. Trevor was one of the most desirable people you'd want to be friends with, recalled Larry. And I'm going to just drop these last names because it's insignificant and it just slows things down. Also raised in Great Neck. Honest, loyal, respectful, with a lot of humility. Anglesen's attitude to girls, said Presto, was decent. He didn't just want them as notches on his bedpost. He was old school. If they wanted to shop or go out somewhere, he'd take them into the city. Well, isn't he grand? The criteria for men is pretty low. That bar is... He just wanted to make them feel good about themselves. He charmed everybody. Other contemporaries were less complimentary. Oh, geez. He's not that great. They thought him brash, conceited, and definitely not the genius he believed himself to be. But Anglesen's promise of stability matched Meghan's needs, or more importantly, her illusion. Like so many lured to Hollywood, she was driven by a fantasy of her future. Not just the pursuit of happiness, but also the belief that Trevor could help her, emotionally and professionally. She wanted easy living and freedom from financial stress. In turn, everything about her was new to him. Nikki Pretty. Oh, Nikki. Why are we going back to her by a given name, birth certificate, given name? Just call her Nikki. She's referred to as Nikki. You said that in the first chapter. Oy. Okay, Nikki Pretty was among the first to meet Meghan's latest boyfriends. Trevor was big for her. He was very focused with great connections. It was an opportunity for her to establish relationships with agents. She loved it, being at his side and going to those dinners. She loved him. He was very doting. Meghan was so besotted by the romance that she could barely keep her hands off of Trevor. In public, she hugged and kissed him. And adopting a babyish voice, cooed, "Trevity, Trev." Pretty witnessed her sense of triumph. In return, Trevor gave Meghan bear hugs. Unable to believe his own good fortune, Trevor told his friends that he had met the hottest chick in California. After a few months, Meghan moved into his home in Hilldale, West Hollywood. Thrilled by her catch, she proclaimed, "I've got my toothbrush in his cabinet." Trevor discovered his beautiful woman was also a domestic goddess. She was definitely a curator of a beautiful life, said Nikki. She had a very specific style. She loved her hotel-style bedding. Beautiful, contrasting, black piping, detail on the crisp white duvets. She loved everything white. Meg was a perfectionist. She liked to throw dinner parties with beautiful menus that complemented flavor profiles with amazing wines. Pretty was describing an idealized snapshot of one evening rather than Meghan's routine life. Although Meghan, it seemed, had found a genuine partner sympathetic to her insecurity, her reality as a wannabe actress was grim. As she touted herself around the studios, auditions were followed by an inevitable thank you. and a rejection without reason. Survival in Hollywood, she knew, depended on avoiding the necessity to tell or face up to the truth and denying rejection when it occurred. There was no alternative. Like a slot machine addict, she needed to keep playing and refused to give up until she had a hit. My 20s, she wrote, were brutal, a constant battle with myself, judging my weight, my style, my desire to be as cool, as hip, as smart, as whatever as everyone else. I must have been around 24 when a casting director looked at me at an audition and said, "You need to know that you're enough. Less makeup, more Meghan." Ooh, my. Driving around Los Angeles in a battered Ford Explorer, whose front door didn't open, she got in, and through the trunk hatch, she eventually landed brief appearances in TV films including Love Inc., Deceit, and The War at Home. Trevor chose not to cast her in his latest comedy, Zoom. I was going to say, never heard of it, but the next line is, his comedy crashed. Oh, goodness. Hollywood, a town of competition rather than compassion, was unforgiving towards Trevor and Meghan. In 2007, can I just stop for a second? I heard her tell that story about how she had to go in through the hatch to get in her car because the car door, like neither of the car doors work. That's just so odd. The driver's door and the passenger's door were broken that you couldn't get in them. The latches were broken. I mean, like, what are the odds of that? Okay. Anyway, that's her story. Sticking to it. In 2006, both ranked among the thousands of eager, desperate, and flailing unknowns, blitzed by snideness and malice. Okay, moving on. Their noses were pressed against the glass, enviously beseeching the industry's moguls. Any success would depend on a mixture of hard graft, genuine talent, and unexpected luck. At last, Meghan got a break. I mean, she's been handed a lot of breaks, just saying. Okay. Her fortunes changed. Howie Mandel, a comedian and a host of the TV show Deal or No Deal, watched her reel of one-liners and her audition. Her body and looks matched his requirements. She would be one of the 26 identically dressed hostesses in 5-inch stiletto heels, squeezed into tight mini dresses to pronounce their figures, each carrying a briefcase. Her half-sister Samantha believed they must have stuffed her bra. Apparently, Meghan's got the itty-bitty titties too. Okay. Starting at 5:30 a.m., Meghan was contracted until after nightfall. 7 episodes were filmed in one day. Wow. Each show paid $800. That's how I want to work. I'll show up at 5:30 in the morning and you can work me until midnight. And keep giving me $800 every 7 times throughout the day. I'd rather do that and then have days off to do other stuff. She could work other jobs then. It's a good gig. Okay. Each show paid $800. Between each episode, she would change clothes. Quote, "It's so embarrassing," she told her father. "It's exposure," he consoled her. "If you're spotted, you'll get another part. It'll take time to get there." Thomas knew that to win stardom, Hollywood expected Meghan to do anything. Humiliation was one of the prices of winning fame. Okay, I liked that show. Humiliation. They were don't do the job. Nobody forced you to do it. Mickey D's at the corner, I'm sure, was hiring. She could get employed somewhere else until she found her perfect role. She was humiliated to get dressed up and get paid really well and just stand there. Like, I mean, I know they were all dressed alike because you were supposed to be like the wallpaper. The people who were trying to decide which briefcase to pick were not supposed to be focused on all of you. They were supposed to be looking identical, like the Rockettes. They were supposed to look at the briefcases and decide which one do I want? Which briefcase should I pick? That's what it was about. It wasn't about the girls buy the briefcases. Their sole function was to open it. And it just made the show look cooler rather than have one person like Vanna White who had to keep walking down and hit all the letters and then go back and then walk down and hit all the letters and back. Because they were all separated like that, they had them come in with all the girls and then stand there. It would make the show go much faster. I don't understand the problem. I feel like there's a little bit of whining, unnecessary whining. Do you want my life for a day, Meghan? Just saying. Just saying. All right. Humiliated, whatever. All right, moving on. Oh, how do you pronounce that word? Ruckus. Ruckus. Does it look like rock? Anyway, Ruckus. In front of a Ruckus audience and loud music, the show's seductive hostesses stood near contestants carrying a briefcase containing between 1 cent and $1 million. After choosing one briefcase, the contestants were offered the deal: either sell the briefcase for a fixed sum of money or continue in hope of choosing the briefcase with the $1 million. Amid contrived tension, contestants were urged to take the risk. As ever in Hollywood, sexy young women attracted rich and powerful men. Among the visitors, welcome to the studio, was Donald Trump. On the set between takes, the New York businessman handed out his card and invitations to visit his golf courses. Some girls accepted, and they would later say that Meghan not only rejected Trump, but all the other invitations. Melania or something. Layla, we'll just say, one of the other girls, would assert that Meghan never went out after the shows, but read scripts for auditions. Okay, well, good for her. There you go. That's a good thing. Meghan was never interested in casual dating. She was always looking for commitment, wrote her approved biographer years later. Okay. Oh, I don't begrudge her that. I don't. I think that's fine. Those recollections were contradicted by Brett, a successful Hollywood producer of the time. Ratner prided himself that Hillhaven Lodge, his Hollywood place, famous as Ingrid Bergman's first home in America, was in those years the center of the universe, proudly telling everyone, "I'm fat and Jewish." Ratner had dated tennis champion Serena Williams for 2 years. Several times every week, Ratner hosted all-night parties for the stars. Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Penelope Cruz, and many more swished into his hilltop compound. Tons of beautiful girls came, recalled a close friend of Ratner. Among them, every weekend, were the game show girls. A dime a dozen was the common quip about party girls. Meghan was one of those frequent guests. Among a clutch of stunningly looking beautiful women, she was memorable to a few unusually observant guests as conservatively dressed and known to pose as an innocent. Yet she was among the last to leave as dawn broke. By the end of the Deal or No Deal show, Meghan had lost her coyness. Dressed in hot pants and a little else, she stared in the lifestyle magazine Men's Health, making burgers on a grill. Okay. The champion of women's empowerment later described those experiences as being objectified. Then quit, Meghan. Get another job. Don't complain. Juggling her career, life with Trevor, was good. Both enjoyed traveling around and eating the best food. They flew to Greece, Mexico, and Thailand to visit recommended restaurants, although she barely earned enough to cover her own costs. Trevor's latest film scripts had earned him an income. The downside was that they still lived beyond the fringes of Hollywood's elite. Hollywood's power brokers were unaware that they even existed. After rejection and snapshot appearances left on the cutting room floor, Meghan was still looking for that big break. An audition by Donna Rosenstein, a rising TV producer and casting director, was a reward for Meghan's perseverance. In a proposed series called The Apostles, she would play a former sex worker rescued by a Christian policeman who falls in love and marries her. In the series pilot, Meghan played the part of an experienced young woman who argued with her husband. She provided sex advice to his neighbors. Fox Studios rejected the pilot. Then she featured in a pilot for Good Behavior. It was a lighthearted series about a Vegas criminal family trying to become honest. That too was rejected. That one sounded better anyway. In her next part in 90210, a successful remake of the Beverly Hills series, she memorably performed oral sex in a parked car in a public area. After 2 episodes, she disappeared without explanation. Next, she was given a cameo appearance snorting cocaine in The Boys and Girls Guide to Getting Down. Never heard of these shows. I mean, Beverly Hills 90210, I heard of, but I think she was in like the reboot, but she only played the BJ girl. So in 2009, she appeared in Get Him to the Greek. Robert Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times called it, quote, a fundamentally sound movie, but missed Meghan, who had no lines and was not given any credit. Even worse, her brief appearance in Fringe, a sci-fi film, was edited out. That was heartbreaking for her, recalled Nick Collins, her agent and a partner of the Gersh Academy from the beginning. There are people who shut down when that happens, and other people who say, I can do it, I'm going to show them. Meghan was in that second group. In Hollywood's rankings, any appearance in a series, even if the project was rejected, was marked as success. Casting agents noticed her string of appearances. Her reward for tenacity came in 2010. Brett Ratner contracted Meghan for a 35-second appearance in his film Horrible Bosses. She was cast as a FedEx delivery girl. Meghan mixed for the first time with Hollywood's royalty, including Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Spacey, and Donald Sutherland. All A-listers. On the set of the profitable film, she introduced herself. Mr. Sutherland, I hear I'm going to fall in love with you before lunch break. He laughed. I resisted the very major urge to squeal, Meghan wrote, rating the film with 2 stars. The Guardian, I guess that's the name of it, rating the film with 2 stars. The Guardian is a magazine, or it's a periodical of some sort. I don't know if it's just online or in print or what. Okay, rating the film with 2 stars, The Guardian called it, quote, an occasionally amusing but mostly crude, charmless, and misguided comedy. On the back of those experiences, Trevor cast her in a small role in his films, The Candidate and Remember Me. Both flopped. And we've never heard of either one. Ooh, this headband is just huge, isn't it? Trying. Okay. 8 years into her bid for stardom, Meghan recorded the horrors of her professional life in Working Actress, an anonymous blog. Oh, okay. So she created a blog called Working Actress. I'm not going to lie. I've spent many days curled up in bed with a loaf of bread and some wine. A one-woman pity party. It's awful and ridiculous. No, like, that sounds lovely. A bottle of wine and then like a big hunk of Italian or French bread. Just rip it in hunks and eat it. I could live on bread and potatoes. That sounds like heaven. When I got my first job and I moved out of state, I was like 8 to 10 hours away. That was what I would treat myself to for a meal. It's like my favorite drink, and then just go get a big baguette or something and just eat bread. Okay. It wasn't awful and ridiculous. That sounds like heaven. But I understand she was sad. Okay. On another evening, she continued, quote, I've had to freeze my acting union membership, borrow money, work jobs that I hated, God forbid, endure being treated like shit on set, kiss actors with smelly breath, and cry for hours on end because I didn't think that I could take it anymore. Gosh, I have no sympathy for her. I don't know why. I don't have any sympathy for her. Like, you want to be an actress and you're upset that you have to kiss somebody who has smelly breath. Do you not think you think everyone's going to have beautiful breath when you kiss them? I mean, it just comes with the territory, doesn't it? This is a lot of complaining. She had to work jobs that she hated. That's like 90% of America. So, welcome to the club. The reasons for her rejection were common. Hollywood was full of good-looking, ambitious actresses, but very few had star quality. Critical to cinematic success was identity. Natural stars like, did you hear me say identity? I would probably say identity normally. But now that I've been watching Sister Wives, everything is identity. Natural stars like Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, and Rachel Weisz project a gravity on the big screen to lock in the audience's eyes. Meghan lacked charisma. On screen, she generated no magic. Whew. Although she was undoubtedly attractive, directors found her unexciting and ordinary. The audience's emotions and curiosity, they believed, would not be excited by her appearance. Like the vast majority of wannabes, Meghan portrayed her own wants and needs and not the requirements of the role. Be so easy. Yeah, I could see that. I can see that. Everybody wants to like act as opposed to like become the character. She was her own person. She could not convincingly become another person. She never played a part which she could adapt to herself. Lacking natural mystery, she remained a B actress struggling with one-liners that might end up on the cutting room floor. I mean, she barely did anything. That's not a B actress. B actresses are like ones that work a whole bunch and all that, but they're just not like currently in the A crowd. She's more like C or D, quite frankly. Okay, where was I? Okay. Okay, here we go. No thanks. After an audition fueled Meghan's belief that the casting director had not understood her, she needed to try harder. And then the next day would certainly be different. In Hollywood, rejection was not a stigma or humiliation. After 5 years, her reel was substantial. Jobbing actors, she was reassured, earned a good income from constant employment. Interesting. Jobbing actors. I wonder if this writer made that up or if that's a British term. Repeatedly, she looked for explanations as the rejections piled up. I wasn't black enough for the black roles, she wrote, and I wasn't white enough for the white roles, leaving me somewhere in the middle as the ethnic chameleon who couldn't book a job. In an article for Elle in 2015, Meghan described how she was asked every week of her life, often every day, what she was and where she came from, as people struggled to place her ethnicity. I'm sorry. I don't know a lot about Hollywood. I know my daughter went to college out there and she was kind of in production and that type of thing. I know a little bit about, but from even way before that, my understanding is that anyone who's ethnically ambiguous is highly sought after in the industry. That's like, it's like a unicorn to them. Like, we can put you in this role, or we could put you in this. You can play the white girl, but you could also play the Puerto Rican, but you can also play the black girl, but you can, like, they love ethnic. Plus, it just adds diversity to their cast. This is completely opposite of everything I've ever heard. That's all I'll say. That's all. I just don't believe this. All right. And I find it hard that they keep asking her that, because that would be right on her information when she would go for roles and ask. You would have ethnicity's going to be on there. I'm sure she just wrote mixed. She said she wrote mixed. That's what it said in the book. Okay. All right. So she was asked every week all about it. But that's because she's in a job where it's all about your appearance. You don't go in to be a doctor and have them say, so what race are you? Like, it doesn't matter. But when there's a role written for a certain character, it does matter. This is frustrating. Ugh. Of course they're going to ask you every day. If you're auditioning every day, they're going to ask you every day. Okay. Rather than accept that she was not an outstanding actress, she stressed, quote, "It was the first time I put a name to feeling too light in the Black community and too mixed in the white community." I love how he started that sentence. Rather than accept that she was not an outstanding actress. I mean, that's so true. Right, for this role. Yeah. Okay. 5 years later, she rephrased her story. In Allure magazine, she dated her first realism of, quote, colorism during an African American studies class at Northwestern. Thomas disputes this. Quote, "Race was never an issue throughout Meghan's childhood," insists Thomas Markle, or her years in Hollywood. Oh God, this man always stops to say who's talking in the middle of a sentence. Hate it. Okay. "I was surprised when she brought it up. With the exception of a box at school and a driver shouting at Doria, Meghan never mentioned race." Meghan, he insisted, was never the underdog. Similarly, Thomas Markle insists that Meghan never blamed racism for rejections at auditions. It didn't come up, he said. In mid-2010, Nick Collins sent his client for an audition in an office block in Santa Monica, Los Angeles. The American producers were looking for an attractive young woman to play Rachel Zane, an aspiring lawyer unable to pass the exams. In the low-budget soap series set in a New York law firm, Zane would have an affair with Mike Ross, a brilliant young man with a photographic memory. Called Suits, Ashton Kutcher. Called Suits, Ashton Kutcher. Oh no, I'm sorry, not Ashton Kutcher. Aaron Korsh, the 43-year-old writer of the potential series, based the narrative on his 5 years on Wall Street. I'm so sorry, I don't like this writing style. Korsh had quit his bank to work for 8 years as an assistant writer in a film production company. On the verge of giving up, he took a gamble to write Suits, built on his experience at Wall Street. Loyalty within a family of employees was Korsh's forceful theme. Bankers were portrayed being asked to do things in the office that offended their morality, but loyalty, a two-way street, compelled them to oblige. This man likes to stop, step aside, say something, come back. Okay. I'm trying to think. There's a name for that in language. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. After reading the script, the producer suggested Korsh switch the drama to a lawyer's office. Once adapted, the producer started auditioning for the pilot. Korsh had no image for the part of Rachel Zane, except that she was intelligent, likable, worldly wise, sexy, and to match the loyalty theme, totally trustworthy. Her role required that she would go to any lengths to help those she was working with. Rachel Zane's loyalty dilemma was profound. Mike Ross, a self-serving, beguiling fraudster, lacked any loyalty. Yet he invoked loyalty to demand a favor from honest Rachel Zane. Korsh explored how Zane reacted to the danger of violating her ethical boundaries. The parallel conundrum was whether Mike's outstanding qualifications made him a better human being. As a last-minute thought about the part before the audition, Meghan ditched a colorful jumper and jeans and bought a $35 little black dress. "I don't think I did a good job," she lamented to Nick Collins afterwards. "I really wanted that part." Back in the Santa Monica office, Korsh was excited. We all looked at each other, and he recalled, wow, this is the one. I think it's because Meghan had the ability to be smart and sharp without losing her sweetness. Although the producers agreed that they would seek diversity among the cast, Korsh recalls, "I didn't know that Meghan was mixed race when she was piloted. She was just the best." Korsh's admission challenges Meghan's complaint that her career had been stymied by her color. Cast on the 24th of August, 2010, Meghan shot the pilot in New York and, as usual, waited to hear whether a network would buy the series. At the beginning of 2011, Meghan was told the USA Network, a cable corporation, had commissioned one season of 12 episodes. Years of hustling had paid off. She would earn a regular income of $50,000 per episode. Dang! $50,000 per episode. She's not even the lead in it. And it's on USA Network. Does that even exist anymore? Is there a USA Network? I remember once seeing it when you're scrolling through the 300 or 400 on your cable guide. Oh my word, 50 grand per episode. That would be $600,000 for 9 months' work. Unbelievable. Reflecting on her earlier pessimism, she explained, quote, "It was a really good lesson in perspective. I think we are always going to be our own worst critics," end quote. My hair is coming forward here. It was all wet and I just threw it back in this thing. Now it's kind of just doing its own thing. My apologies for the craziness. Okay. This is the last paragraph of this chapter. There was one surprise. To save money, filming would start in April in Toronto, and not as anticipated in New York. Every member of the cast was upset, except Meghan. To the producers' bemusement, Meghan was keen to set up her permanent home in Toronto rather than commute like all the other actors from Los Angeles. Ain't she? Oh, no, she's dating the guy. She wasn't married to him yet, right? Unexpectedly, she also revealed that she would stay in Toronto beyond November after filming ended. Leaving Los Angeles and Trevor, Meghan told the producers, was not a downside. See, this is how the sentence should go. This is what's frustrating me as I'm reading this. Why didn't he just say, Meghan told the producers that it was not a downside to leave Los Angeles and Trevor? Like, leaving Los Angeles and Trevor, Meghan said, We always have like chops up sentences. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't complain about it again. I won't. I just want you to know why I like hesitate when I'm speaking, because I've never read this before and it doesn't flow for speaking out loud when you don't know where the guy's going. I'm getting better. Okay. All right. They're going to be staying. Unexpectedly, she also revealed that she would stay in Toronto beyond November after filming ended. Is she married at this point? I felt like she was when she went, but I don't remember. They didn't say anything about getting married, did they? They said that she moved into his apartment in West Hollywood. Man, I don't think they were married, because she's like, oh, and I have a toothbrush that's there. Okay. Leaving Los Angeles and Trevor, Meghan told the producers, was not a downside. She did not explain why she wanted to leave Los Angeles. One friend speculated that she had agreed that Trevor's super cheesy, like a guy who wears those Adidas slippers with a suit to a fancy event. Another friend suggested that while Meghan could commit herself to Trevor, she did not like being possessed. Meghan needed to be in control. If necessary, Suits was her get out card from the relationship. Well, that like says a lot when you compare it to living in London, right? Living in the castle, being a royal. Because your life is not your own. You like sign it over to the crown. She had to do what they wanted her to do, stand how she wanted them to stand, greet the way it's all protocol and rules and tradition. She doesn't like being controlled. I will say, I did kind of like that about her when she first got there, because I thought, well, she's going to break some of these stodgy rules, like when she wasn't on the steps of the hospital with her baby when she came out. I was like, all right, good for you. She said it was because her and Harry released the statement that they were, a more modern couple. And so that is why they didn't go out on the steps. And I'm like, good for you. Like, I was like not looking so hot when I was coming out of the hospital after I gave birth. Like, I don't need to stand there and have the world have pictures of me unless you're going to bring in full hair and makeup ahead of time. Even then, no. It took a while for all of the water retention and everything to go. Like, I just still felt like a bloated fish. And so I was thrilled when she did that, and they were doing things differently. It was a couple days before they did this. There were a few things I remember thinking that's like, why don't they just do that? Like, that doesn't make sense. But all right, whatever. They're reinventing, and that's good. It's going to freshen things up. I might eat all those words now if she wasn't on the hospital steps because she never gave birth. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. Her ankles look like they could break at any moment. I know. And they stayed that skinny when she even, quote unquote, gained 60 pounds in her pregnancy. That's what she says. She said with both of them, she gained 60 pounds. All right. She was married to Trevor. Yeah, she sent me. I know she got married to him, but did she get married after she started Suits? How many seasons was Suits? I feel like it was just like for a minute, but maybe it was a while. Okay, we'll find out because we are reading chapter 4, Suits, right now. Trevor Anglesen sensed the tension. 6 years after he and Meghan had met, they flew to Belize for a holiday. Soon after they arrived, he proposed. Here we go. Just continue on, Jenny. You'll get your questions answered. Marriage, he believed, would secure the relationship. Oh, yeah, that's what makes a relationship succeed. Get married, yeah. Oh, you know what? Have a baby, too. That'll fix everything. Despite the 5-hour flight between Los Angeles and Toronto, he hoped the regular commuting, the telephone calls, would minimize the barriers. Meghan seemed to be thrilled by the idea. Shortly after saying yes, Meghan telephoned her best friend. She called me immediately, recalled Nikki Pretty. She was ecstatic and sent me some beautiful pictures. This was the man she wanted to have children with. Soon after returning to Los Angeles, Meghan rushed to see Nikki. Meghan came to show me the ring when she got home, and she was so excited. She asked me to be her maid of honor. We were hugging each other and crying. There was no doubt about her love for Trevor. Meg used to tell me she couldn't imagine a life without him. She said if anything were to happen to him, she wouldn't be able to go on. This is narcissism. Okay. More than ever, Meghan relied on Pretty. I think when you're an only child in that situation, your friends do become your family. As for Trevor, Pretty was sure that he would have walked the earth to make the marriage work. Every aspect of Meghan's life was challenging. For a start, her mother's life had finally stabilized. All right. Every aspect of Meghan's life was challenging. For a start, her mother's life had finally stabilized, although the cause was upsetting. In March 2011, Doria's 82-year-old father, Elvin, died after falling and hitting his head on the pavement. She inherited some money and his house in Windsor Hills, a black middle-class area. At the same time, she began studying for a degree in social work at the University of Southern California. This is Doria we're talking about, right? Thomas Markle's life also changed. At the age of 67, he retired and, relying solely on his pension, moved to Mexico. In Rosario, a coastal town merely 20 miles from the American border, he could live cheaply in the sun. At first, he rented a beach hut and then moved into a bungalow on the cliffs above the sea. The rent was just $850 a month. The downside of retirement was losing his Hollywood status, but after spending 50 years surrounded by people, he wanted peace. With the Pacific lapping on the wide, empty beach below, he lived among the debris of a lifetime in Hollywood. I'll never be a neat person, he admitted. It makes me want to just move to Mexico. $850 a month to just live and listen to the waters. Oh, nice. With few friends, the solidarity proud man filled his time watching old films, walking around the town, and taking photographs. Regularly, he telephoned his two elder children, especially his daughter Samantha. His relationship with Meghan was different. I don't want to come to Mexico, she said during one of their weekly calls. He in turn refused Meghan's invitations to travel to Toronto. He feared an argument. After seeing the first episodes of Suits, he was critical of the director's lighting and the whole production. Meghan disliked his criticism. Thomas recalled, if you're new, Thomas is a lighting director, and he even was nominated for Academy Awards in lighting. He's a cinematographer. So he didn't like the lighting on Suits. Meghan disliked his criticism, Thomas recalled. She began talking down to me. Suddenly, there was a command in her voice. She'd outgrown me. She gave the impression that she didn't need me anymore. I began to think I didn't understand Meghan anymore. The previously compassionate creature was becoming a woman of strong opinions and bigger ambitions. Flush with money, her sense of duty and obligation began to slip. She finally had status. She was being taken seriously. Aaron Korsh actually wanted to know her as a person. Before leaving for Toronto, Korsh and Meghan had met for lunch at the King's Royal Cafe in Hollywood. To his delight, Meghan revealed herself to be a foodie. In the development of the series, Korsh decided that his team of writers would incorporate her interests into the scripts. The influence went two ways. Keen to observe new ideas, Meghan was especially interested in Korsh's depiction of loyalty and authority. There was a caveat. Although finally established after years in the periphery, Meghan was the youngest of the cast. There had to have been something to complain about. Ranked 6th actor in the series, she would not be mentioned in the publicity for the launch. Not because you're the youngest person. You could have top billing as the youngest person. It's about how important you are to the series. You were the 6th important person. Not worth mentioning. Okay. So funny. She thinks it's because of her age. Not least because, by common consent, she was not the best actor on the show. And he agrees with me. Uncertain if Suits would be recommissioned after the first series, Meghan needed a safety net, just in case. Like all actors, she was plagued by insecurity. Seeking work, she sent her reel to Phaedra Harris, the casting director of Dysfunctional Friends in Hollywood, a highbrow comedy. She was aggressive in a good way, recalled Harris. She was very tenacious, driven. Meghan was momentarily considered for a minor part, but the film's schedule clashed with Suits. Although she wanted to live separately, Meghan had no alternative but to rely on Trevor. Life in Toronto was not glamorous, and the long hours made it hard work. Early each day, Meghan was collected by car from her small rented house in a tree-lined road in the Annex neighborhood. The driver dropped her outside a downtown concierge hangar. Filming Suits was a familiar experience. Nurtured since childhood to embrace fellow actors, crew, directors, her professionalism shone. She was kind and sweet, recalled the producer. And she knew her lines, and she was easy to talk to. During those first months, the Suits cast became her surrogate family. 2 actors, Rick Hoffman and Gina Torres, became particular friends. Sometimes they went to bars and clubs after a day's filming, but usually Meghan returned home to cook for herself, do yoga, and Skype with Trevor, encouraging him to fly to Toronto. Why is she encouraging him to fly to Toronto and she's actually staying there extra time that she doesn't need to after the filming is done? Often, she admitted, she spent time on the internet trolling for girlfriends. What? Often she admitted that she would spend time on the internet trolling for girlfriends. This just fits, doesn't it? It's like she can't be seen with an unknown. She always tries to level up, level up, level up. And that's anyone that's on her social media is like an A-list celebrity. She had nobody in her whole family come to her wedding except for her mother. But she invited Oprah and Gail and the Beckhams. Like, she's not friends of theirs. Okay. She's all about appearances. Okay. Frequently, she called Nikki Pretty. It was an exciting time, recalled her old friend. Before the first Suits episode was broadcast on the 23rd of June, 2011, Trevor posted a message on Facebook urging people to watch his badass fiance. The enthusiastic review spread hope that the small audience would grow. Meghan's excitement was doubled by her wedding, which was planned for the 10th of September 2011 in Jamaica. 3 weeks before the big party, the Schmoes Know, a live podcast by Trevor with two friends, highlighted the difference between him and Meghan. Swigging from a hip flask, Trevor described how he feared a splash on his suit while using a urinal. Oh, he described how he feared a splash on his suit while using a urinal. One of his friends suggested that Meghan be invited to appear on their podcast. Okay, that was just like a random sentence about the urinal. I guess that's just describing what he's like. I would think that she would freak out at urine being splashed on her, too. Yeah. She's a big deal. Fuck off, snapped Trevor. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. I'll cut that out later. Casual, earthy, untidy, and unpunctual, Trevor knew he was marrying a self-disciplined perfectionist. Shortly before flying to celebrate in Jamaica, Trevor and Meghan married on the 16th of August in a civil ceremony in Los Angeles. Okay, so that is a place where she got married somewhere officially first and then had the wedding somewhere else, because she said on Oprah on the interview that she got married beforehand to Harry in a private ceremony somewhere. And so that wedding was just like for the world, but not for the two of them. But the priest who she said married him said that never happened. So it's just saying he's a priest. So who do you believe? Okay. Neither Thomas nor Doria were invited. There's a pattern there too. And the date was deliberately classified as confidential by the couple to prevent outsiders, without a court order discovering the details. I'm sorry, it's the way the sentence was written. You know what I'm saying. We'll move on. A total of 102 guests, including Meghan's parents, were invited to a 4-day beach party at the Jamaica Inn, famous for a haunt of Ian Fleming, Marilyn Monroe, and Arthur Miller. Meghan booked all 55 rooms and villas. Guests paid for their own accommodations. Thomas Markle contributed $20,000 to the costs, partly by selling shares worth $6,000. They didn't expect the money, recalled Thomas, but I offered it. It's my daughter. In return, Meghan and Trevor gave him a certificate for a journey anywhere in the world, which he did not use. Wheelchair-bound with multiple sclerosis, Samantha volunteered to stay away. She was represented by her daughter. None of Doria's family appeared. Thomas believed that none could have afforded the fare and the accommodation. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, she makes how much money? And she decides to go and make this, and then expects everyone else to pay for it. Okay. In addition to the couple's friends from Hollywood and New York, there was a large contingent from the cast of Suits. The chemistry of working together as a family had created a special magic. Meghan's empathy and professionalism had one universal affection. Always the easiest to agree to schedule changes, the producers appreciated that she never got worked up. By then, many noticed the close relationship between Meghan and Patrick J. Adams, playing Ross. Oh. We grew up together over the course of the show, Adams would say about their special bond. The night before the wedding ceremony, Trevor described in his speech during the dinner a book he had prepared about his and Meghan's lives. The book's conclusion, said Trevor, was his pledge to give Meghan the family home she never has had. Thomas's and Doria's jaws fell. We looked aghast at each other, said Thomas. She had had two good families and all the love and attention any child could want. Both, okay. I mean, it was dysfunctional though, but still, that was a horrible thing to say. But it's true that it's true that he loved her. Mom was willing to just walk away and say, I won't ask for alimony, but I'm not going to do anything with Meghan. But the dad, he's been stepping up right and left. Okay. Both wondered what Meghan had told Trevor about her childhood. Why had she concealed her past? Or why had she distorted her origins? What other secrets, Thomas wondered, had his daughter told Trevor? For the first time, Thomas feared that his cooling relationship with Meghan would be fractured by her inaccurate statements. In Jamaica, however, Thomas Markle would not let Meghan's fantasies interfere with his pride, although another characteristic of hers emerged. Okay. This Trevor guy, he's no better than Meghan. I've always thought of him as the poor guy who got jilted and she left him. He was so in love with her and all that. But he's not all that. Who would say that in a room with someone's mom and dad there, even if it were 100% true? And they made up enough that they're at the wedding. You don't bring it up. You don't say, I'm going to give a better life than they did. That's terrible. Oh, okay. Quote, she controlled the whole wedding like a sergeant, end quote, he noticed, which I think we're still talking about Thomas Markle. There were times for everyone to be ready in costumes, for games and for meals. I couldn't understand what she was trying to achieve. She even forbade everyone from taking photos. Despite her instructions, his beloved daughter was getting married, and he disobeyed. Quote, I went ahead and snapped, end quote. Nikki Pretty was the maid of honor. Quote, I started crying the moment I saw her in her dress. Meg literally shone with happiness. We'd been like sisters since we were 2 years old, so I knew she'd always wanted to get married. To see her finally doing that it was a big deal. It was such a moving wedding. It was so beautiful to watch. It was so beautiful to watch, beautiful to be a part of. They loved each other so much. She married her eternal love, end quote. Dressed in a white suit, bought by Meghan, Thomas walked his daughter with Doria down to the beach for the ceremony. Wait a minute. So he did go? Didn't it say they weren't invited? I thought they just went to the beach party afterwards. What? I'm so confused, guys. Help me out here. What am I missing? Oh, well, it must have been before this. I must have. I don't know where it is. I swear I read that. And then it said that they were invited to this 4-day extravaganza. So I thought it was the party after the wedding, but he walked her down to the wedding. Okay. All right. So things changed, I guess. I don't know. I missed that, or I missed something, or I misunderstood as I was reading. Okay. Dressed in a white suit, bought by Meghan, Thomas walked his daughter with Doria down to the beach ceremony. Trevor's father was waiting under the, oh, I'm not Jewish, huppah? Is that how it's pronounced? The canopy for a traditional Jewish ceremony. His mother sat in front. Both Trevor's parents were unhappy that their son was not marrying someone Jewish, and in particular, that he was marrying Meghan. Oh, I could see that. I don't think a Jewish mom is going to be into her. No. She's not your typical nice little Jewish girl. Mm-mm. From their first introduction, both had disliked Meghan's aloof self-interest. Over the years, she had shown neither loyalty nor intimacy to the Anglesens. Neither believed she would be willing to make the sacrifices for the creation of a proper family home. Trevor had ignored their opposition to the marriage. Since their son was determined to marry Meghan, there was no alternative but to make the best of the situation. Trevor's father officiated at the ceremony. In her own written vow, Meghan promised to love and cherish Trevor. Okay. Oh, really, Maureen? Harry said the same thing when they were engaged to marry. The royal family were going to be the family she never had. I vaguely remember that. That's sounding familiar now that I'm reading that. Yep. See, she claimed the same thing. Can you imagine if your son married Meghan Markle? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, it's a good point here. Lynn, she wanted free stuff. That's why Victoria. Although Victoria Beckham, I mean, they are kind of like royalty in London, right? Aren't they? Maureen, I think. Me and my M words, so many of them. Do let me know. Okay. She married her eternal love. Okay. Okay, no, I read that already. Over the years, okay. Trevor's father officiated the ceremony. In her own written vow, she promised to love and cherish Trevor. At the end, Trevor stamped on the bag of glass. Shattering the glass symbolizes for Jewish people the frugality of relationships and reminded Meghan that maintaining relationships required special care. A roar of approval and cheers burst out, and the party began. With reggae music in the background, the guests began drinking rum and lager. It's lager, isn't it? There's no R in there, though. It's Lager. Anyway, and smoking the cannabis handed out to everyone in small bags by the couple. It's not a wedding. This is like a night at the club. Okay. Unnoticed by the guests, Meghan demanded the official video of the party. She demanded the official video of the party. Okay. To Thomas Markle's surprise, she destroyed it soon after the wedding. She wanted no visual record of the marriage. By default, only her father's photos survived. That's crazy. This girl wanted nothing to do with getting married to him. She has a plan. I don't know what it is. Why is she going through with it? Why doesn't she just, you want to be married that much? Like, she didn't even want to be with them. She's in a whole nother country. Oh, she thinks she's P. Diddy. No, Joni, there are no interviews. He's speaking to nobody. Now, he has since gotten married and he has like 3 kids, and he's a producer in Hollywood and he's doing his own thing. I am sure that he and his wife do not want to be affiliated with Meghan at all. So, like, if he were single, maybe he'd speak, but I think that they just don't want to be inundated with paparazzi starting to follow them and everything. So he's just kind of living his own life and not talking about her. But maybe maybe he will be brought to court if she keeps insisting that she is biologically that child. Well, she still could be biologically her kid's mother. Apparently, the person who carried her kids, her surrogate, is saying they're her eggs, not Meghan's. That's crazy. Okay. Let's go on here. All right, so she demanded the official video to be given to her. Right afterwards, she destroyed it. She wanted no visual record. Only Thomas's photo survived. On their return to Los Angeles, the couple lived in a small house off Sunset Boulevard, while Meghan waited to hear whether suits had been recommissioned. Thomas Markle's mother became seriously ill in Los Feliz, his latest Los Angeles home. With increasing dementia and after a kitchen fire, Doris Markle moved into the residential home. Tom Jr. met Meghan during a visit. Oh, apparently Tom Jr. was not invited to the wedding. Her brother was not invited. Over 100 people there, but her brother apparently wasn't one of them. Tom Jr. met Meghan during a visit. I saw the private side of Meghan, a genuine, caring, loving person. She had an amazing relationship with Doris, even though she didn't know her that well. Doris died on the 25th of November, 2011. Thomas Markle's 2 brothers met Meghan and Trevor for the first time at the funeral. By then, Meghan had celebrated the good news that American Network had commissioned a second series. Is it also called American Network? USA Network? I don't think it's called American Network. I think he took liberties there. Anyway, maybe it is. Nobody ever says it, though. I never heard that before. To celebrate, she bought a 4,800 pound Cartier watch. Ooh, that would be more money in US dollars. On the back was engraved, "To MM from MM." The second season, but she's married. I would never buy myself something and say, "To Jenny from Jenny." Oh, gosh. The second season would attract a bigger audience, about 1 million viewers, mostly young. One cliffhanger was whether Rachel and Mike would forge an intimate relationship. The subplot focused on Mike's personal life. Let me guess, she's going to complain about this too and say that she's being not typecast, but objectified. Even though when we read what the script was, what her role is, that she was going to be like struggle with the dilemmas of, okay. All right, Rachel and Mike. The subplot focused on Mike's personal life. He had a crush on Rachel Zane, but he was having a relationship with Jenny. I got in her way. who in turn was the ex-girlfriend of Mike's drug-dealing former best friend, Trevor. It's ironic, these names. At the end of the series, Mike and Rachel consummated their relationship. Okay, I hope you're all able to follow that. I've never seen the show, so all of those names and that meant nothing to me. Meghan began to identify with the character. I happen to really love Rachel. I love how ambitious she is, always trying to take the bull by its horns, and savvy. She sort of becomes someone that I could see as a friend, which makes it a lot sweeter to play. End quote. In particular, Meghan liked the fact that Rachel had encyclopedic knowledge of the law, and that she was to Mary, and she was to many viewers, love interest or eye candy. The new theme inserted by the producers was Rachel's father's disappointment that his daughter was failing her exams. Although race was not contentious in the series, they cast Wendell Pierce, the black actor, as the father. Pleased that the producers had acknowledged that she was mixed race, she had uttered one reference in the first series. "Do you think this is a year-round tan?" Meghan had asked her boyfriend. Wendell Pierce's introduction provoked a racist response from a handful of viewers. "Ew, she's black," was one Twitter comment. "I used to think she was hot." Race still remained unmentioned by Meghan, apart from a solitary protest in an unexceptional daytime Canadian TV show. So there was one Twitter comment. I mean, there had to have been more. I have more people say negative stuff about me on my channel than there had to have been more shit. Or they're just, if there was only one, this is not an issue. Okay. Introducing herself as Meghan Anglesen, she returned to Toronto to film the second series of Suits. Regularly, Trevor arrived from Los Angeles to work from her house. The struggling producer would have walked the earth to make their marriage work, according to Pretty. Trevor did not notice that his wife, free from the constraints of her past in Los Angeles, avoided the daily compromises of marriage. Liberated by her financial security, Meghan began to identify with her character, Rachel Zane. Wearing Tom Ford pencil skirts, speaking about contracts and clients, she was becoming like Zane, an empowered, sassy, professional woman. Inevitably, her relationship with Trevor began to change. Well, we saw that coming. Toronto is not a large community. Unlike in Los Angeles, Meghan was a noticed fish in a small pond. For the first time, she had status. She began to make new friends. One was Jessica Mulroney, an aspiring fashion stylist whom she had met at a fitness studio. Jessica's husband, Ben Mulroney, was not only famous as a TV host, but the son of the former Canadian Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney, a pillar of Canada's establishment. Okay. Naturally, Jessica was also a friend of Sophie Gregory Trudeau, the wife of Justin Trudeau. The wife of Justin Trudeau, whose father, Pierre, had been Canada's Prime Minister for 4 years. As a leading parliamentary member of Canada's Liberal Party, Justin was tipped to become Prime Minister. He was tipped to become Prime Minister. Added to that, there were Marcus Anderson, a Canadian businessman who had just returned from London to open a Toronto branch of the Soho House, a members club for the city's socially ambitious fashionistas. My daughter went to a Soho House for a meeting with a talent agent when she was working at the talent agency to talk about futures. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, I was just excited for her. I'm like, yeah, you never know where you might end up any day. You don't never know what tomorrow might bring. I'm like, and you'll probably never go to another Soho house, so enjoy it. The combination of life on the film set, occasional recognition on the street in Toronto, and her new social life with Canada's dynastic families changed Meghan. She was mixing with an elite. Compared to her financially strapped struggle in Los Angeles and a loudmouth husband unable to deliver fame, her new life in Toronto was what she had always dreamt of. Money was the decisive influence. With a growing taste for luxury, the finest clothes and jewelry, and the promise of a glittering presence on the red carpet, celebrity was within reach. Absent from Trevor, she promoted her importance through Instagram. Launching a new account on the 24th of May, 2012, she introduced herself with images of Forbes magazine, plus Rachel Maddow's Drift, a book describing the balance of power between America's politicians and the military, and pages from her Suits script. On her Yeah, she's very liberal. I didn't realize how liberal this girl was. On her return trips, Trudeau, Rachel Maddow. Okay. Meghan realized that her future in Hollywood was bleak. Okay. In the world of paparazzi, parties, and producers, she was still unknown and excluded. Trevor faced the same fate. He was a good man, unrecognized and unknown, going nowhere. In Hollywood, they would neither be famous nor rich. Impatient, she began to chase an achievable dream. Quote, "There is Meghan before fame and Meghan after fame," end quote, summed up Pretty, glancing through a photograph album. Unapologetically, Meghan started canceling lunches with her old Los Angeles friend at the last moment, explaining how she feared that she would be recognized. Aww. Pretty felt a new coolness. The tone of her voice, her mannerisms, the way she laughed didn't seem real to me anymore. Her time became increasingly important. When she was in town, she'd want you to drop everything to see her. If I was busy, it would be, quote, "Why don't you want to see me? I'm here. Let's hang out," quote. On other occasions, she refused Pretty's suggestions to meet for lunch. Pretty felt awkward. It was like a light switched off. We began to talk less. I felt as if I questioned her behavior, I'd be left on the outside. Fearful for their friendship, Pretty preferred not to know the truth. Meghan has changed. She had become sharp, clear, and even cruel. More than ever, her emotions were concealed. Trevor noticed his wife's transformation. During holiday get-togethers in New Zealand and Vietnam, his ostensible complaint was serious food poisoning after agreeing with Meghan's suggestion that they try the local food. There was a more serious problem. The holiday was a curtain raiser to a critical discussion. At 31, under pressure from Trevor, Meghan was thinking of children. He wanted them. She did not. With her career breakthrough, motherhood was impractical. Instead, she searched for a dog, as she wrote, to, quote, "keep me company in Toronto," end quote. In December of 2012, she headed for Spot Rescue, a pet adoption agency in Los Angeles offering rescue dogs. She chose Bogart, a 6-week-old Labrador mix. But there was a problem. The same dog had been chosen by somebody else. To beat her competitor, Meghan recruited Pretty and other friends to bombard the agency with an email chain in her support. Are you joking? Are you joking? It's not your dog. She did all this to steal the dog away from somebody else who had already claimed it. "The dog," wrote Meghan, was guaranteed happiness in this Suits family. I felt that she was playing the Suits card, recalled Pretty, to try to get what she wanted. I felt she had developed a sense of entitlement because she was on this show. It left a sour taste in my mouth. Several days later, Meghan recorded her success on Instagram, posting a photo of herself holding Bogart. She thanked the American daytime TV talk show host Ellen DeGeneres for sending her to the agency. You told me to adopt the sweet pup yesterday, and I am so happy I did. Thanks a million. Dropping names on Instagram, Meghan realized boosted her importance. Okay, dropping names on Instagram, Meghan realized, boosted her importance. By February 2013, in successive Instagram posts, Bogart was anointed by Meghan as a social media star, showered with love. Gosh, that would be annoying if you're the one that claimed the dog and you knew she's the one that got it, and then you have to watch it on Instagram. Although, I mean, who's going to watch it on Instagram? I wouldn't be watching it. I saw her Instagram the very first time when I was making that last video. This was noticed by the royal biographer Sally Bedell Smith. Her son David had bought Bogart's brother puppy at the same time. Meghan emailed David to organize a reunion of the puppies on Malibu Beach. Reunited for the first time, Meghan wrote on Instagram with an attached video after the dogs romped together for an hour. They were beyond happy. Hashtag puppy love. Hashtag Bogart. Hashtag rescue pup. Oh my God, how sweet. 1 month after the dog's beach party, Meghan was in Toronto, apparently more in love with Bogart than Trevor. Her dog was a perfect conversation starter when she walked through the nearby Trinity Bellwoods Park. Quote, watch Suits tonight. So proud of my amazing wife, end quote, Trevor posted on the 24th of January, 2013. And then went to the Oscars in Los Angeles without Meghan. Omid Scobie, Meghan's self-styled spokesman, would interpret that as a snub. Scobie is an unusual journalist. Critics have highlighted that his face changed after working in Japan for U.S. Weekly, and Richard Eden in the Daily Mail suggested that his age had also varied. Some would say, as a royal editor for Harper's Bazaar, the Anglo-Iranian is a propagandist. Employed by Heat, a magazine, he became friends with Dan Wakeford, who would become the editor of People magazine in 2019. He is treated by some media as the spokesman for Meghan and Harry. Wasn't Scobie involved somehow with Diana? He's not the one that did the interview, right? Oh, Lindsay B knows him. Scobie is a weird dude. How come it didn't show up? There we go. Nope, that was another guy. Okay. I've heard the name Scobie before. Maybe I've just heard him recently in relation to Harry and Meghan. According to Scobie, Meghan had always mentioned her dream to go to the Oscars, especially as a star. In reality, she refused to join her husband. Trevor, she knew, was spending every night in bars, supposedly to get work. Living apart had made them incompatible. Living the dream of Suits' success, she decided that Trevor's demand that they have children did not match her ambitions. She told friends in Toronto that she did not want children with him. His charm had worn thin. His expectations from their relationship were unacceptable. No one could live with her, except on her terms. Some who knew Trevor were not surprised by her decision. They cast him as a brash, acquired taste. Often he acted with self-importance. She had learnt a lot from him, and his financial support had been invaluable, but there was nothing more to absorb, nothing more to gain. He had been an opportunity, a starter marriage. Gosh, it's rotten. He was no longer her family, or was the latest family she no longer had. The cast of Suits was her new family. Boy, family comes and goes, right? She just no real emotional connection. Okay. Importantly, in the third series of Suits, her fee was increased to $75,000 per episode, and the run was increased to 16 episodes. Her total income would be $1.2 million. For the first time, there was the prospect of residuals. Money gave her the right to change her mind and do what she wanted and when. With her own money, she felt there was no duty or obligation to anyone but herself. In hindsight, her marriage seemed to be transactional. Ugh. This is so sad. Really, really sad. And quite frankly, she was making that kind of money. And residuals have been going crazy because after she got engaged, all these other networks started picking up Suits and running it. I don't know if they are anymore, but there was a period of time there she was getting some decent residuals for sure. Okay. Instead, she searched for a dog. Wait. She has a dog. Or maybe they were talking about before. As she wrote, to keep me company in Toronto. December 2012, she headed for... Wait. I already read this. Did the page? Yes, I'm sorry. She's got a dog. Maybe we're doing a flashback. Okay. Sorry. $1.2 million is where we were. All right. And residuals. Okay. Oh, right. The page just flipped. All right. Because we ended here. Her marriage seemed to be transactional. A FedEx envelope delivered to Trevor's home was a bombshell. Inside was Meghan's diamond engagement ring and her wedding ring. There was no note. That's rough. The end of the marriage in spring 2013 came totally out of the blue, observed a friend. Trevor was left, quote, feeling that he was a piece of something stuck to the bottom of her shoe, end quote. Searching for explanations, some suspected that Meghan was having an affair with an actor in Suits. Perhaps Trevor was having one too in Los Angeles. Nothing emerged to contradict one truth. Totally unsentimental about their 8-year relationship, Meghan had decided to just move on. We didn't see each other, and we had drifted apart, Meghan explained to a friend. She knew what she wanted and understood who she was. Abby Wathan, an actress, recalled meeting Meghan about that time. I was destroyed by my own divorce, said the actress, but she was empowered. By taking back control of her life, she would do with men and what men had previously done to women. Anglesen was her past and irrelevant. I mean, I don't agree with that philosophy. Just because you've been wrong doesn't mean you have to wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. Meghan called Pretty to announce that her 15-month marriage was all over. Quote, I don't believe she gave him enough of an opportunity, said Pretty, still shocked by events 5 years later. I think there was an element of, quote, out of sight, out of mind for Meghan. The way she handled it. Trevor definitely had the rug pulled out from under him. He was hurt. Splitting from Trevor, Pretty realized, showed that Meghan was calculating, very calculating, in the way she handled people and relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivated circles of friends. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She made her decision, and that's it. And well, yeah, we saw that, it's like shut down. She like cut off her father, the one family member who showed her the most love. Cut him off. Moved on. After reflection, Pretty called Meghan, but the shutters had fallen. Quote, she wouldn't confide in me. It was obvious to me that she wasn't the friend that I'd grown up with anymore. She had a new circle of friends. End quote. Pretty was shaken. She says, the end of our friendship was like a death. I mourned it for quite a while. Looking for solace, Trevor called Thomas Markle. Meghan, he discovered, had not told her father the news. Oh, gosh. This is crazy. She never told her dad. Okay. Then again, her dad wasn't even invited to the wedding. Or was he? I don't know. Did anyone tell me? Did they hear me say that he and his wife were not invited, but then they were invited to this 4-day thing? But then he walked her down. So I guess the 4-day thing was, I guess she changed her mind. I don't know how I missed that. Okay. Moving on. Doesn't matter. Both men were surprised. I explained to Trevor that Meghan's real love was being an actor, probably more than anything else. No. If being an actor meant being poor, she would not be an actor. She didn't want to get on stage. I mean, the only actors on stage that make money are Broadway. I mean, like this kind of money. Like, she wants money. She didn't care about acting. In my opinion. Okay. You marry the business. I keep telling people that. I married the business, he said. Meghan married the business. That ruins a lot of your relationships. I think what she did was dedicate herself to the show, Thomas said. Thomas did not tell Trevor a more hurtful truth. Quote, Meghan has outgrown you, just as she outgrew me. Oh. Thomas called Doria. It hurt that she already knew. Trevor was mean to her, said Doria without further explanation. He did bad things. Thomas was puzzled. Meghan, he thought, had possibly invented something. Or he had misjudged Trevor. The Anglesen family was less sanguine. I wonder, this would make a really good miniseries. This is crazy. I mean, this book would. Just take this book and turn it into a 15-part miniseries. Maybe more. Devastated by Meghan's betrayal of their son and themselves, Leslie Anglesen was particularly hurt. Meghan's cold-heartedness left both of them deeply unhappy. Their hurt was compounded after Meghan posted photos of herself on the 8th of April at an ice hockey match at the Air Canada Centre She was watching Michael Del Zotto, a Canadian ice hockey star, 9 years younger than herself. Her affections for Del Zotto, she wrote, were the best. On April 22nd, she posted more photos of herself watching Del Zotto play at Madison Square Garden in New York. Both would deny a relationship. Leslie Anglesen was not convinced. In their close-knit world, she said, daughters-in-laws are not unfaithful. Tell her, Mama. The Anglesens blamed Trevor's mistake to marry a girl from a broken family. Well, I mean, that's a little harsh. Without a common background and no sense of loyalty towards her new family. Okay, a lot of that's a little rough. It's not about the common background. It's not about the broken family. It's about who Meghan is. But the fact she had no sense of loyalty towards family, now that speaks volumes about who Meghan is. Okay. She has no control over her broken family, and she shouldn't be judged for it. Although Trevor resisted invitations to explain, he did tell a friend that domestic life with Meghan bore no relationship to the demure young woman who fluttered her eyelids on TV screens. Marrying a mercurial, dramatic, shouty, and difficult actress who demanded a role in his films had been a challenge. Well, yeah. I wonder if he would describe her like that before she left him. Deep down inside, if he evaluated himself, he would. In retaliation, Meghan's friends portrayed Trevor as envious and resentful of her success in Suits. Until then, Trevor had enjoyed Meghan's dependence on him. Thereafter, speculated Omid Scobie, repeating what her friends had said, Trevor had refused to, quote, support her acting career, end quote. How? He let her leave him, go to another country. She was not invited to the Oscars because he, quote, didn't want to share the spotlight, end quote. No. She wouldn't go because she wouldn't be in the spotlight. Oh, boy. Anyway, friends had her back. That's good because she didn't have her friends back. They'll learn. Moving swiftly to the end of the marriage, Meghan filed for divorce on the 7th of August, 2013, citing irreconcilable differences. 2 weeks later, the papers were served on Trevor. Neither hired a lawyer to negotiate their agreement to divorce. They parted without any financial arrangement. The case was finalized on the 7th of March, 2014. Meghan kept Bogart. In the months after the divorce, a different Trevor emerged. For some months, he dated Charlotte McKinney, a blonde men's health model. Eventually, he married Tracy Kurland, the daughter of a billionaire. Snap. Oh, boy, she's got to just be seething. He could not give her all the money she wanted, but then he went and got it. So he has it, but she has no access to it. He would frequently be seen dating around Los Angeles in particularly flashy Porsche, sinking with the cream, insiders carped about a man whose fame was his association with Meghan. Okay, I don't know. British term. Meghan showed no sign of remorse about Trevor's inevitably hurt feelings. At 32, she was free. Free for all the baggage of her parents' marriage and hustling in Hollywood. 2 years later, she would describe her next step. Quote, you create the identity you want for yourself, just as my ancestors did when they were given their freedom. She added, I dream pretty big, but I truly had no idea my life could be so awesome. I am the luckiest girl in the world, without question. End quote. Okay. On reflection, some decided that Meghan was reinventing herself. You think? I love my character, Meghan told Larry King on the TV interview broadcast on a digital channel to promote the third season of Suits. Rachel Zane is ambitious and sassy. Unintentionally, Aaron Korsh, the series creator, was remolding the actress's own character. I see, Rachel, said Meghan. Oh, I thought this was going to be what he was saying. Unintentionally, Aaron Korsh, the series creator, was remodeling the actress's own character. Okay, this is another sentence. Quote, I see Rachel, said Meghan, as such a good friend. I root for her. I'm almost like a fan. Rachel's like the ultimate best friend who has a closet that I always borrow things from in my personal life. End quote. She is the person that probably goes and borrows things out of her friend's closet. Oh, I really like that. Can I wear that? Can I have that for a while? As she said later, quote, ambition was what she and Rachel Zane had in common. I'm part of the Horse and Pony Show this year, she wrote in her anonymous blog about America's network launch of Suits, USA network of Suits to prospective advertisers in New York. Oh, maybe is it called America's Network now? Is USA Network gone? Maybe I'm correcting him and I shouldn't be, because who watches USA Network? I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's called that now. They'll roll out the red carpet in a major way because they want me on their show. The talent, they call us. Clearly excited by her introduction to first-class flights, chauffeurs, and luxury hotels, she continued, quote, this is part of the job and it's fucking awesome. If you are pursuing television, then realize that you have already sold out and take your big fancy paycheck because you can now, flashing those pearly whites, veneers, and working the carpet with your sexy little body, Spanx, is part of the job description that you jump on board for when you signed on that dotted line. In her fantasy, the unknown actress cast herself as a celebrity coping with the chore of recognition and being pestered for photos. In reality, little had changed since she left school. She ached for fame and a new relationship. As part of the promotion for the cable network in July of 2013, Meghan and Patrick J. Adams, alias Mike Ross in Suits, were interviewed by Larry King in a small dark room in a cheap New York hotel. Meghan looked unusually unattractive, with greasy hair, rumpled clothes, and peaky eyes. I don't know what that means, but okay. Red, maybe? I don't know. Peaky eyes. Throughout the soft interview, she gazed adoringly at Adams. While Adams described his character as a cross between Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, Meghan edged closer to her fellow actor. Asked a direct question, Adams emphatically denied to King that he and Meghan had a sexual relationship. King clearly disbelieved Adams. Meghan smiled. Coy. The coy smile. Later that year, she arrived in Europe with a mission. Oh, that's it. The next chapter is Manhunt. Yeah, I think I heard something about this once where, like, when she went to London, she, like, literally came out and told people, I want to marry a British man, and I'm here to find a husband. She knows how to hunt them down. Well, she sounds delightful. Clearly, this man doesn't like her. And he admitted it. He said it's more fun to do research and find things on people that you don't like as much. It's just more interesting. Maybe she went, yes, there you go. She was seeking out her Archie from the comic books. Mm-hmm. What did I say, Lindsay B? I don't even remember. Yes. She didn't need Aunt Reba. She's independent, this woman. She is not confined to the restricted guidelines of a religion. She has none. She is free to be. She's delightful. Oh, I got it. I mean, we've just begun. We have only just begun. It's going to be something. I am looking forward to this to get more information. I had heard that my understanding, this will be an interesting chapter next week. She was working the system to get to the point that she met Harry. But then she pretended like she had no idea who the guy was. Is he kind? Who is this Harry you speak of? Okay, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but she did say, is he kind? It wasn't kind. She did say something else first, and then she wanted to know if he was kind. So I put the two sentences together. She says, is he kind? I know nothing of this Harry you speak of, but okay. I'll go on a date with him. Oh, she's a man-eater. Indeed. She should be confined. This is only chapter 4. Yes. There's, what did I say? Like 40 chapters, 40 some chapters. We're only on 4. And I feel like that was a whole book. Like what we read last week and this week could be a complete book. That's what I'm saying. The drama miniseries, it could be multiple seasons. I mean, somebody needs to contact him and turn this into film. Honestly. All right. That was a good chapter. Yes. Glad. I'm glad you guys are following along because I have to stay focused on it. 1, because I have to get better glasses, but 2, the way he writes, between the grammar of some British language and some of the words, and then the way he structures sentences by starting it, stepping aside, going back. What is that called? That drives me nuts. I think it begins with an A. Oh, I'm mad at myself that I can't think of it. Anyway, he does it all the time. And people don't talk like that all the time. They do it occasionally, but he does it all the time. Okay. She does try to copy Catherine's style. That's true. The Carpenters. Rainy days and Mondays, oh, will get you down. Oh, no, always get me down, I think it is. It's been a while since I've heard that song. Yes, this is indeed true, Wendy. Ever since she was a little girl. She was emulating, she was doing like scenes, she was doing acting things. She had a whole shrine in her bedroom. She got the book. She got up early, watched all the weddings on TV, but acted like she had no idea who this man was. And that's where the narcissism comes in, because she thinks she can say and do things and nobody's onto her, that she is smarter than everyone else. And that's what narcissists think. They know better. It's just shocking to me, some of the stuff that is coming back. And then I'm thinking, why didn't she just tell the truth? That's crazy. There's so many times when I read different things and I'm like, well, she got herself in a pickle again. She keeps putting herself in them. All right. I wish the Crown would come back and cover them in their shenanigans. I know they said they weren't going to, right? Originally. And I am not completely caught up because I don't have Netflix. So I'm not completely caught up on The Crown. I only watched like the first season, I think. But I know that they were going to end it. Well, they agreed to extend it a little bit. They were going to end it. I think the boys weren't going to be included at all, but they extended it to include the boys, and I think Catherine, and he was dating Meghan at the time, and Catherine had just gotten married to William. So I had heard that they decided that they would do like one more. And the reason they weren't going to do it is because they felt like The Crown was so good because it's written with the advantage of years gone by and being able to reflect back on everything and just sort of put it all together. Whereas they said if we do anything on the boys, it's just too current and we don't have the advantage of what time gone by, which makes sense because they might have perceived the wedding with Meghan like I did. Isn't this lovely? As opposed to you start getting all this knowledge and then 5 years later you look back at the wedding and go, this girl, she's diabolical, isn't she? Honestly. All right. And yeah, why haven't they sued about the invisible children? Yeah, mom's the word. All these allegations, and they're so sue happy, legal happy. What's the term? There's a term. Anyway, they don't hesitate to sue people, but there's been nothing about this surrogacy thing. It's going to be so good. We're going to go through all this together, people. By the time we finish this book, it'll be like her kids will be going to college. Yeah. They say allegedly. And everything I say is allegedly as well. This is not a news channel. I am simply reading words written by Tom Bauer and then giving my reflections on the book. That's what's happening here. And then talking to you guys. Okay. All right. They did was the costume on the Crown show? The last thing they did. Who's they? I love The Crown. Yeah. One of these days I gotta watch. I just gotta find a month where I'm free. Although come August and September, it gets even crazier. So if I don't do it now, I don't think I ever will. Just want a month of Netflix to just catch up on stuff. I want to watch that entire F1 series because my son-in-law and my daughter both watched it and they're totally into F1 racing now. And so like just being able to participate and talk to them about it. You know, I did my part when I went to visit them and I watched the Brad Pitt movie about F1 racing. I sacrificed. And I watched the start of the race early on a Sunday morning, and then I left and I got ready and all that. And by the time I got ready, I planned to watch the end of it, but it was over. I mean, I had breakfast and did other things. I did work. Didn't take me 3 hours to get ready. I did sit there for about an hour after it started and watched and talked with them. Anyway, so I got to do that, and then I got to catch up on The Crown. There's a bunch of stuff on Netflix that I need to catch up on. All right. Well, this was fun. I'm going to type good night to sign off. And I still haven't figured out exactly how to do it, but I might be back here on Friday and start the Rock People show. So pay attention to the channel, see if the thumbnail comes up, make sure you hit the bell. That'll notify you if I do post something, and we might start that together. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it for people who don't have it. I might have it like I'll figure something out. I have ideas, but I'm not certain. Okay, this was good. And to all of you, I bid you adieu. Good night.